Yeah.
Oh, my God. Oh, right. Okay. So, oh, I'm so sorry about this. Dear me. All right. So, welcome to the football referee with myself, Emmy Hickins, and he calls me bruv.
And me, Trevor here, and he calls me Cuz. No, he
All
doesn't.
right.
He calls me bro.
So,
My apologies.
so take two. What do we make of the England team so far?
Yeah, well, on balance, we're in with the place we would want to be. We've come through to the knockout stage and won a game there as well. We started off well against Croatia. We won pretty good and played well. It did surprise me that Thomas Tuchel made changes to that team that won that. Okay, with a couple of substitutes come on, but he changed the team, and I would have thought a team that starts off and wins, you basically keep it because they get to learn each other's game and so on. So anyway, he did make changes for the game against Congo, which it wasn't such a good game. We didn't play anything like as well, which is a bit of a disappointment given the first game's performance. But Panama followed that one, and we won that one, and came out of the group as winners. So that was all good. I think there was enough evidence to think we might proceed a bit further. I have to say at that point that for some strange reason, right from the off, I really have felt this could be our year. This could be our time. Excuse me, to win something. It would be great for our maybe somewhat beleaguered country these days if we were to win the World Cup. It would be a fantastic thing for England and our people. So I hope my gut feeling may have some substance and that we do win it. But anyway, we came out of the group. We had our game the other day against Mexico, which, as I say, it was on at a crazy time of night, but I was still away on holiday. But I did manage to see this on record late yesterday without knowing the score, so that was quite good. And we played really well against the intimidation of a massive crowd of 90,000 in a fantastic stadium. So that Mexico started off with the benefit of all that energy coming from these fanatical, intimidatory supporters. And England had to weather that storm, which they did up until the hydration break in about 22 minutes, thanks to a very good save at one point from Jordan Pickford. But I think once we'd weathered that storm, we gradually became the better team than we were. Man for man, we were a better team, I think, than the Mexicans. They had some very good players, but they also turned out to be a very physical team. Not dissimilar to some previous South American teams. Um, Such as Argentina on occasions, very physical. And although ironically, it was one of our players, Kwanzaa, who got sent off for a badly timed tackle. So really, it was all hands to the pumps for the last 20, 25 minutes to
Mm,
keep them out. I mean, I must admit, I was thinking when I was watching this replay, maybe it's not the best answer. Attack is the best form of defence, even with 10 men,
mm.
but they weathered the storm and it worked. So yeah, we progressed, and of course, much to the disappointment of Mexico, one of the host countries, they didn't. And of course, each of the host countries has been eliminated, which is a shame in some ways for
Mm.
those host countries fans. But for England, yeah, I think we're looking pretty good. I think in the Mexico game, Jude Bellingham was incredible, as was Harry Kane. I would think most other international teams at this tournament will be thinking if only we had Jude Bellingham or Harry Kane, because they are just phenomenal footballers. And Kane has been that all this season. I think he's on this in this tournament so far. I think he said he's scored 76 goals this season so far, which he says he's never got that many before, and I'm not surprised. He's broken so many records for in Germany, Bayern Munich, since he's been there. Phenomenal world-class footballer and a great captain. It was quite interesting listening to him being interviewed afterwards because he completely lost his voice, as I do sometimes for some reason when I'm doing a podcast. I'm
Mm.
not sure why, but talking and do that. But his voice went very high pitched, and I'd
He did.
imagine he received quite a lot of leg pulling about that from his mates. But subsequent to that, he put a post on Facebook where he said he's got his voice back. But yeah, with him at the helm, I've got great hopes that we can really do something. Now, we've got to play Norway on Saturday. They're already saying, I mean, it's going to be played in Miami, where it could be 44 degrees centigrade. And they're already saying it may be delayed. I mean, if it's 10 o'clock our time, it will be 5 o'clock Miami time in the afternoon, Saturday. So you could imagine it might be delayed for a couple of hours, because I guess it might get a little bit cooler. Florida, of course, is an incredibly hot state, probably the hottest, the Sunshine State, isn't it? So it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be interesting to see. It'd be a shame if they do move it from our point of view, because at last we can see them 10 o'clock, which is doable, and not 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning, sort of thing. But yeah, Norway are no mugs, are they? Especially with Haaland there and other players too. There's kind of possibly a sense inside us football fans that perhaps based on the last few tournaments, that Norway are a bit of a pushover. You know, we should get past them quite easily, and that would be a very stupid attitude to take. And I don't believe the manager or the players in England would take that attitude. We know they've got some excellent players, and really Haaland is up there. You can argue with Harry Kane in terms of quality centre forwards. I mean, they're both pretty much equal in that respect. But he can latch onto something with such speed, and he knows exactly where the goal is every time. And we just got to. I don't know how you counter someone like that. You just got to have him fairly heavily marked, I guess. But I think they could cause us a lot of problems. But as I say, none of us can predict what will happen. I just have a gut feeling that this might be our time. So if we do beat them, then I think we're likely to go forward to a semi-final with Argentina, which might be interesting, assuming they beat. I forget who they're playing in the quarters, but they got through against. Who did they
Egypt.
beat yesterday or the day
Egypt.
before?
Egypt.
Which
They
who was
beat
it?
Egypt. Mo Salah. Egypt.
Yeah, Egypt. Of course it was. Yeah, an interesting game. I don't know whether you were going to come on to that, but 2-0 up were Egypt, I gather, at 79 minutes. And you know, one thing I was going to say, and I'm no conspiracy theorist. I'm not,
No.
but I
No.
didn't think it seemed quite right, if it was true, which I believe it was, that in our game against Mexico, the VAR ref and his assistants were South Americans. Now that just struck me as being that almost inevitably they may have a bias, like Mexico's fans against England and like so many others against England. Whether it's the Eurovision Song Contest or the World Cup, we say they all seem to hate us, don't they? But to
Yeah.
actually have South American VAR refs or ref doesn't seem equitable to me. That doesn't seem right. So yeah, and then you come to the Egypt game, and you think, you know, 3-2. They won 3-2 at 79 minutes. They were 2-0 down. Now it happens. We know it happens. But I think there was a questionable VAR. I didn't see it, but questionable VAR decision against Egypt. And my instinct, the first thing I thought when I heard that result was it wouldn't have suited FIFA for Messi and Argentina not to be there still. You know, if they actually were eliminated before the quarterfinals, along with all of the host nations, it becomes a little bit of a damp squib, perhaps, not necessarily, because there's still some very good teams left. But
Mm.
again, our minds go to things like that. You know, how could it be that they still managed to win that game? Yeah, they scored some very good goals. I mean, Messi did miss a penalty in the first half, so he's human after all. But yeah, I don't know. Argentina have got a bit of a reputation for being physical, and it will be very interesting if we do end up meeting them. If we beat Norway and they beat whoever they're playing. In fact, I think they're playing Switzerland, aren't they? Because Switzerland I think, beat that they won last night against Colombia. That's right.
Yeah, yeah,
So, and I think Argentina, on paper at least, should beat Switzerland. You never know, but that's likely. And if we do beat Norway, which on balance I think we might, it's going to be a very interesting semi-final, a really interesting one to put it mildly. So yeah, England, I think we're doing well. Shame about Jordan Henderson, what he did. He
yeah,
fell over the hoarding, didn't he? And
yeah.
he obviously had a very painful wrist break because he was given oxygen. And I read earlier today, he said something from, I think, from hospital. I think he's had an operation now, but he didn't
Mm.
even mention that to his credit. He just wished the team well. He said it was all going so brilliantly well, and he wished them the very best. Obviously, whether he'll rejoin them now, I don't know. But
Well,
yeah, that was a shame right at the end in all those celebrations for him to do that. But I
yeah,
don't think it deterred the others. I think the thrill of what they did was very much there. They've celebrated, and now, no doubt, probably from tomorrow, they're going to be preparing for Saturday's game. But
yeah.
it will be an extreme heat, whatever the time they do it. And that's going to
All
be a
right.
feature, I think, of this, isn't it, really?
Yeah, yeah. Well, first of all, amen to the possibility of the World Cup coming home. I really love that. I enjoy that. I we deserve it. We deserve. I don't think anybody else deserves it as much as we do because
Mm,
we've worked so hard and we've been so patient over the years,
mm,
just to have it. It's just have it at once. So yeah, so I'm really rooting for England.
absolutely.
Now quite a few pointers for me in the game. Um, First of all, there was a confusion about whether we were going to have an early kickoff time of 7 p.m. and that fizzled out. And then they were like, yeah, all right, so they're going to revert back to the original time of 1 a.m. But anyway,
Mm,
about half 12, I'd got ready in the hotel. We weren't at home. We were away. And I left the telly on and I just thought I'll just set my alarm and have a quick nap for half an hour just to be sharp for the game. Anyway, I did set my alarm, woke up. The game's been postponed to 2 a.m.
yeah, yeah,
I'm like, whoa, I could have set my alarm and slept for 2 hours or an hour and a
yeah,
half. Anyway, so I then set my alarm, or did I forget to set my alarm? But anyway, cut the story short. When I woke up, we were 2-0 up. I woke up and we're 2-0 up. I was like, what happened? I was looking at it and thinking, are you sure it's not Mexico? It's England. It's 2-0 up. And it's like, Jude Bellingham scored both goals. I'm like, wow,
mm,
okay, we're in for a treat. But when I woke up and I started watching the game, I thought, oh my days, these people are so fast. The
mm,
Mexicans are so fast. And they were playing really fast ball at England, just like really, really fast ball. And I thought, we can't survive this. This is just too much.
mm,
Um, and then because we couldn't get at one point we couldn't get out of our half. We were just pinned in there. It wasn't because we were playing a defensive game. It was just we just couldn't get out
mm.
because it was so fast. But anyway, it then happened that we then got a red card. I thought,
Yeah,
right, this
yeah,
is all we need. This is all we need. And I thought, that's it. We're never going to survive this. There's no way in hell we're going to survive this with a red card, with the way that these people are playing. It wasn't the way that we was playing. We were playing all right. It was just they were just too
mm,
fast. And mind you, we only had about 3,000 of our fans there. And you
yeah,
said 90,000. So minus
yeah,
3,000,
yeah,
you can
absolutely.
see how overwhelming,
Mm,
the support for the opposition was. So anyway, and then it came up to when we then scored. I can't remember now. We scored the third goal. As soon as we scored the third goal, no, then they scored one. I thought, right, they're gonna score another one. So we
Yeah, I think
had
we were two up, weren't we? And I think they got one.
one,
They
yeah,
got one back. So at one stage it was 2-1. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
and
So
then
one
we got
stage,
another one.
and then we got another one. It was three,
Yeah,
and then and then it was a decision that I thought this is not going. This is going clearly going against us. There was a decision in the box that
yeah,
resulted in a penalty. I don't think that was a penalty.
mm,
I'm not being biased. I'm just being real. I don't think
yeah,
that was a
yeah,
penalty. Two players raised their legs. The two players, they went for the ball.
yeah,
And Harry Kane, according to the VAR, what I saw, he actually touched the ball. He actually touched the ball before the other person touched the ball. So, you know. But anyway, we won. That was the main thing. And just like every other England fan, and I don't know if I'm speaking for every England fan, but certainly a few England fan. When we drew against Ghana in the preliminary stages, I thought this team is not really up to scratch. That's what
no,
I thought. At that point, I thought that. I thought if we can't score against Ghana, there's still teams like France.
mm,
There was Germany at the time. There was lot of other teams that that could really do us harm. But then there was something that the one of the pundits on television on ITV studio said. He said, "Well, we're going to see the real England when we face tougher oppositions." And that's true because we've
yeah.
seen
That's
it.
what's
We've
happened.
seen it now. That's what's happened. So I'm not
Mm.
afraid of facing France or Argentina or whatever team. Bring it on.
Spain as well. Yeah,
Spain, yeah. I don't think Spain is that very good this in this tournament. I mean, they beat Portugal, but I don't think they really. I don't I don't know what's gone wrong with the team, but
mm,
I don't think they're really gonna do any harm. I don't think they're going to do any harm this tournament anyway. Now, what do we? I know we've talked about the Argentina. You've talked about the Argentina Egypt game. Now, what do we make of? Did you see the game first of all?
no,
No. All right. So there was an infringement. So the guy that scored the goal was something Zico or something, Mohamed Zico, the Egyptian player. And what happened was in the build-up, he wasn't involved. In the build-up, because he only got a pass. In the build-up, there was a shirt pulling on an Argentina player, and he went down. There were two players. He was boxed in between two players. One of them pulled his shirt and he went down, and then the goal was scored later on. And I thought to myself, that goal should stand. I saw because I watched it. I thought the goal should
yeah,
stand. But then when they went to VAR after the goal been scored, went to VAR. It then went to VAR, and it was like, yeah, the goal was disallowed. And I honestly thought, just like you, that there was an agenda to
yeah.
keep Argentina in the tournament. But then you think to yourself, if there was an agenda to keep Argentina in the tournament, they still had to fight a two-goal deficit because they were two goals down. They still had to fight a two-goal deficit,
Yeah,
but
of
you know.
course. Yeah, I mean it's hard to say, but I think there is an issue on
Mm,
this. Although I didn't see that, I did hear about it that that maybe the goal should have stood because first of all, the ref didn't give a foul, and on that point, I've long held the view. And there's so much shirt pulling in football. We see it in the Premier League and our other domestic leagues
mm,
every week, and we see it internationally as well. And to me, it's one of the most, I won't say spiteful, but it's one of the most glaringly obvious fouls there could be. And you see it in the penalty area, and they don't give penalties or fouls very often. Now, the point is, VAR isn't normally there to recheck a foul unless it's possible dangerous play, a possible red card.
Mm,
So, by definition, if the ref may or may not have seen the shirt pull in real time, but he didn't see it, the linesman didn't see it, they didn't give anything. So,
mm,
arguably, unless we're looking at VAR as a corrector of everything that might have gone wrong,
mm,
that should have been ignored, in my opinion, because then, by all accounts, as I say, I didn't see it, but um, Egypt went on with a very good run, etc., and eventually scored a very good goal, what looked like a very good goal, apparently.
mm,
And then, of course, VAR doesn't just look at the offside or the person with the ball; they go back, and really the issue, I think, is how far should they go back for other stages of play?
ah,
Sometimes we see it quite a lot, don't we? Where they check offside when a goal is scored. Okay, not offside. Then they check this. Then they go back to something else. How far are they going to go back, for goodness sake, if the ref hasn't actually given anything wrong? And
mm,
on the point of this shirt pulling, for me, it should be a yellow card every time. Because it may then stamp it out every time, whether someone's got the ball or not. If they're spotted by the ref or the linesman pulling someone's shirt. It's a horrible, horrible foul to give, although it's not often given as a foul. Someone's beaten you fair and square with a very clever tackle or dribble, and then you
mm,
pull them back, sometimes ripping their shirts as well. I think that should be completely outlawed. You see it in so many situations. And anyone who has played football, as I have done, and probably you have done, you know full well, and it wasn't really when I used to play, I don't remember it being a huge issue that it is today. But if you're going past someone and they grab your shirt, you in the moment you want to turn around and smack them one because it's so out. It's not sporting at all. It's the absolute opposite of sporting behaviour. It's
mm,
gamesmanship at its worst. So I would bring in a rule which says anyone caught shirt pulling will be booked. And of course, a second offence, like anything else, you'll be sent off for that. I just think they've got to try and stamp that out. Otherwise, they never will. But in this instance, the ref didn't give anything, whether or not he'd seen it. The
mm.
goal, it wasn't immediate. The goal was scored. It involved quite a lot more play. So I think that, as far as I remember, that shirt pulling was quite a long way back, either in their half or whatever. So yeah, it's hard to think that that goal should have been disallowed. I mean, on
Mm.
the evidence of how these things are done, you could say the VAR ref did what his job was. He spotted something amiss and so on, but it wasn't seen at the time. And that, as I say, if it was part of the period of play that the goal was scored in, that's different, perhaps.
Yeah.
It wasn't. So, yeah, I think there's a real issue there. And that anyone who is a bit conspiratorial would say, well, yeah, it was their first step in
Mm.
stopping Egypt's going further ahead or equalising or whatever. Um, and I don't really believe it is like that, but I do think humans have unconscious bias for whatever
Yeah.
reason. And there
Yeah.
will have been an awful lot of people in FIFA who were probably panicking that Messi and Argentina are about to be dumped out. And what that doesn't necessarily mean they would take illegal action, but
Mm.
there is that sense that Argentina had to be kept in at all costs. And as I say, we know the score lines can happen. 2-0 has never, ever been a very safe score in football for a team,
No.
and it's quite legitimate. I remember years ago watching Palace at home to Liverpool, probably 10 years ago, maybe. And at 80 minutes, 81 minutes, Palace were 3-0 down. And in the space of 8 or 9 minutes, and there wasn't much added on time then, we equalised. It ended up 3-3. And I believe, I believe our centre forward, whose name escapes me at the moment, had a penalty, the last kick of the game, which he fluffed. Palace could have won that 4-3. But so it does happen, losing 3-0. I think it was 82 minutes.
Mm.
Um, it, we were losing and we ended up drawing and could have won. So I don't really think there's anything suspicious about the result. It just obviously suits FIFA
Mm.
that Argentina are still there, I would imagine.
Yeah, probably an agenda, hidden agenda. Right. Okay. Now Neymar. Brazil's out.
Yeah.
And Neymar got to play. Now this could probably possibly be his last World Cup appearance for Brazil. Who knows? We don't know. Now, should he have played? What do you
He
think?
wasn't playing in the early games, was he? He wasn't being picked.
Yeah.
I don't know why, whether he was nursing some sort of injury, because you imagine Neymar with his pedigree, his talent, would have
Mm.
been a shoe-in to start every game. But for some reason, he wasn't. I don't even
No.
know if he started that last game. He certainly came on. I'm not
Mm.
sure if he started it.
Mm.
I think he scored. Didn't he score a penalty right at the end
He did score a
of the
penalty
game?
right
I'm
at the
sure I
end.
read
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, he's like many others. He's coming to the end of a very good career, and this is what happens. I mean, we still see Ronaldo there. He's gone now, of course, at the age of 41, I think he is,
Mm.
and he's done very well. Although I think in more recent times he's kind of had a slightly easier time. As a number 10 or even a number 9, he doesn't really put himself about too much,
Mm.
unlike the days when he was a winger and he was up and down the line. But yeah, a quality player, and it's always sad to see these players go. I mean, you never know with Ronaldo and Messi, because Messi's 39,
Mm.
whether they'll be there at the next one as well. I mean, they seem to be, as I say, a shoe-in for their teams, and it must be quite difficult. I've sometimes thought for their managers, international managers, to
Mm.
substitute them. I think one of the games with Portugal, the manager Robert, what's his name, Roberto something, um, he did substitute
Martinez.
Martinez. He did substitute Ronaldo, much to Ronaldo's apparent displeasure. But it must be difficult to sort of put Messi's number up, off you come, sort of thing. Messi is an absolute luxury because he wanders around without any great urgency. He doesn't really, break a sweat too often, as far as I can see. But when he
Mm.
does get action, when the ball comes to him, he performs. Okay, he missed a penalty, but he scored a good goal in subsequent to that,
Mm.
apparently. So he's always great to have in the team. But like others, I think it's a shame when the great players reach that point where they're not going to be around in the next tournaments,
Mm.
next World Cup or whatever, because it is a joy to watch these people. I know they get booed by opposition fans and things, but these people we're sort of referring to are the elite of world football and all that means. That they're brilliant. They do things even other footballers can't do, let
Mm.
alone the man in the street like us. So yeah, it's a shame that they're not going to be around. Hopefully, others will come forward. I mean, we've got our own Harry Kane. He's going to be. I actually feel, and I heard someone else say it, but I thought after our first game that Harry Kane could well be considered in a fairly short while the best England footballer ever produced. I mean, it's difficult sometimes to compare positions, but he's got everything. He's got everything, including, a bit of touch of modesty and, by all accounts, a thoroughly decent man as well. So he's got the
Mm.
lot, and he's one we should be proud of. I'm sure whatever people think of our honours system, and it can be a bit discredited nowadays, but as
Mm.
long as it's there, I think he will be Sir Harry Kane, undoubtedly, and thoroughly deserved as well.
Yeah.
He's a great footballer, and we should be very proud of him, as I'm sure most of us are. And indeed, Bellingham, who we've always known football-wise, is a colossus. On his days, he sort of stands astride the team, and he almost runs it all himself. So to have him and Kane commanding things there is a great attribute for us, and that's one of the reasons I think I felt right from the off that it could be our time this year. It could be England's name on that cup. And as I say, wouldn't it be a superb thing? I
It
mean, another
would.
one I haven't heard too much about is Mbappe. I mean, I think he's been playing for France, obviously. I'm not sure if he's scored. As I say, I haven't seen too many of the games,
Mm,
but we haven't heard too
mm,
much about him. He's a great player as well, and will
mm,
be around for a few years. But yeah, we need to learn, fans need to learn to appreciate the presence of these great players
mm.
because they're not there
Ooh,
forever. They're not. And so yeah, it's going to be an interesting next couple of weeks until the final. I think on the 19th of July, isn't it? The World Cup final. Let's
yeah,
just hope England figure in that final. It would be wonderful, wouldn't it?
it would be. It would be. It would be absolutely amazing. Can you imagine the buzz on the streets?
Yeah,
Can you just,
flags
it's,
everywhere. Quite
I
rightly,
know.
flags everywhere,
Mm,
and it would
yeah,
be tremendous.
it would be. It
Tremendous.
would. It would be. Now, the World Cup Golden Boot race is
Yeah,
heating up. Okay. So in on, three players on 7 goals each, right?
Messi is one, isn't he?
This is what,
Yeah,
yeah, but
inevitably.
I think Messi has eight since this has been published. So Messi has eight, Kylian Mbappe and Erling Haaland both have seven
All right.
each.
Mbappe has scored goals. Yeah.
Mbappe has
Okay.
scored goals, yeah. Then Harry Kane, our beloved Harry Kane has five. Then you have Osman Dembele,
Yeah.
he's on four. Mikel Oyarzabal, he's got four. Vinicius Junior has four. And then there's a surprise one. You're gonna love this one. He plays for Palace. Ismaila Sarr.
So yeah.
Yeah, he's on the list
Yeah.
as well. So that is the list for the Golden Boot as it stands right now. Ismaila Sarr is obviously eliminated. So, they're no
Yeah.
contenders anymore. Vinicius Junior is no contender anymore. Mikel Oyarzabal, I don't think is still a contender. I think the only ones that we have are Dembele, Harry Kane, Messi, Kylian Mbappe, and Erling Haaland.
Ireland. Yeah. Yeah.
It would be nice if our Harry Kane wins, eh?
It would be brilliant. Yeah.
It would be.
Yeah.
It would be. It would be. Now, Cristiano Ronaldo has had his last touch of the World Cup. He's had his last taste of the World Cup so far. Um, what are we thinking about Portugal?
Yeah. I mean, they're a good side. They got some very good players, some of whom are in the Premier League, aren't they? Yeah, they're up there. I don't know what their technical position is in the league of countries. Probably quite high up in the top 10, I would think. It was a shame to see them go, but and of course you see the almost grief on the faces of the players and their fans. It's a big deal to get dumped out of this competition, which teams and countries prepare for 4 years to get there. So and conversely, you see the joy in the faces of the fans and the players of the winning teams. And it's just a thought that comes to me there, which I was talking to somebody about. We all love a penalty shootout. Maybe we all love and hate it. If it's our team involved, I suspect we might not love it quite so much because we know in England's case they don't have the best history. Although we've done better in more recent competitions when we've had penalty shootouts, but over the years we've not done well. And just as an aside, really, on what we're talking about in the World Cup, it seems to me not not the fairest way to decide a match because it's a lottery, isn't it? Right at the end there, it's a
Mhm.
complete lottery. No matter what's gone on during the game, okay, by definition, it's been a draw in full time and extra time as well. So there's got to be a way of deciding the winners, better than tossing a coin, obviously. I think over the years they once tried something called a golden goal, whereby you had extra time, and when a team scored, if they did, the game stopped. That was it,
Mm,
and that again didn't seem wholly satisfactory. But when
mm,
you think of the penalty
mm,
shootout,
mm,
the sad thing is, I know a coin is cost to see at which end it is, but it doesn't. First of all, it doesn't seem right that both teams face the same fans. So one team is going to be up against a huge set of fans there. And inevitably, when their player comes up to take the penalty, there's all sorts of things going on behind the goal to distract, not to mention the noise, but to
mm,
distract the penalty kicker. So that's the first thing. I think if I were in charge of it, if I were to keep the penalty shootout, I would say, right, we've got to operate it at both ends. You either have one of the linesmen to save the ref going to both ends, or he goes to both ends, so that each each penalty taker is either taking it with his own fans there or the opposition fans. Probably fairer if they do it against the opposition fans. So that's
mm,
the first thing that doesn't strike me as fair in penalty shootouts. Second thing is it is a lottery. It's all about who can keep their nerve and kick the ball best into the penalty into the goal. Obviously, some are better at it than others, but
mm,
whether that is that a real reflection of the game? Who knows? What I would do, even though I suspect we would probably all miss the penalty shootout, because it is
mm,
it is an attractive thing to watch as a neutral at the end. It is to see the huge pressure players and managers are under when they
mm,
take them. Some literally can't watch. Some of the team, some of the managers, they literally can't watch what happens. So I think if I were to change it or suggest changes, what I would say is at full time and end of extra time, if it's still a draw, then the team that's had most corners wins. Because that would actually reflect, hopefully, okay, it may only be one corner difference, but it might encourage teams to be a bit more attacking. In the same way, when 3 points came in years ago, I don't know when it was, teams, by all accounts, attacked more because it was much better to get 3 points than one if they drew. So that
mm,
that transformed things a bit. So if you give teams a reason to attack more, like if this is a draw at the end of it all, you won't face a penalty shootout. But if you've had 10 corners and the others have had 9 or 2, you win. And there's some fairness, it seems to me, in that because it reflects a team with a greater attacking intent to have got more corners. Of course, you face the fact that they could both have, I mean, some games have very few corners. They may both have 3 each. And then you've got the same situation whereby I guess you would have to then resort to the penalty shootout, albeit with doing it at both ends in fairness to all the players.
mm.
But yeah, I think it's not the most satisfactory way of ending a game. I think when it was devised, it probably was done for fans because it is exciting, but not if you not if your team is doing it. It's a different cup of tea on that
It
basis.
is.
So
It
yeah, that
is.
that was something that occurred to me that it's a sad way to go out for any team on somebody missing a penalty. And it's and all the heartbreak they feel and the guilt towards their team and so on. But yeah, that's the game, and I guess it's the way it's going to stay.
Yeah. Well, I hope FIFA is listening because that's a very good proposition. The team
Yeah,
that
they're
has
going to
the
take
most.
notice of what I say, aren't they?
Well, you don't know. You never know. They're not going to give you credit, but you never know. Somebody sits there and goes, "Do you know, I was watching this podcast and it's on football, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's a good idea. They're not going to give us credit, but I hope you're watching FIFA. If we see you implementing it, we're going to ask.
We want, yeah, we want royalties. Good
We're gonna be
stuff.
wanting we're gonna be wanting some form of royalties and recognition. So watch out, FIFA. Right, anyway, this is all we've got time for on this segment of the football referee. We're now gonna go into the second segment, and I hope you join us on the second segment as well. I've been Emmy Hickins, and he calls me Cos.
And I'm Trevor Gear, and he calls me bruv.
It's goodbye from me on this segment.
And goodbye from me too.